All right. Hi, guys. Welcome to the podcast again. So this is my good friend Israel, Omidosu.
Yep.
And we met on an Antler startup accelerator. So we got to know each other there and been good friends since. So why don't you just tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what you're up to now?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me,
Nice.
and having me on your show or podcast.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So I've been in the entrepreneurial space for quite a bit. I would say around pretty much since university days. Actively into entrepreneurship. Started my first business when I was in university, my 300th year, while studying electrical engineering. So that just helped me to be able to sort of hit the ground running, test, make mistakes, as every young person will do, and then grow ever since. And every venture, every experience, every startup that I've been a part of, either as a founder, co-founder, or even as an employee, has made me a better entrepreneur, or a more experienced entrepreneur. So in a nutshell, I'll say I'm an entrepreneur. And I've had the opportunity to be able to work in different countries, across different markets and industries, and worked with startups, scale-ups, worked with multinationals, oil and gas industry. I'm married. I've got 2 girls. I live in Almere in the Netherlands, and that's me.
Oh, great. Thanks for sharing. Yeah. And so could you tell a little bit about your journey at Antler and how that has been and what you're working on in terms of education technology and Sprinted and how that's going now and what you're currently doing now with it,
So we joined Antler, I think back in March, thereabout, and did a 3 months intensive VC program of startup program. Going into Antler, obviously I had a few ideas that I wanted to sort of find the right mix of talent and team to be able to then execute. Obviously I threw almost all the ideas away in the first week, because you get in there, you meet a bunch of talented people, you brainstorm, you share ideas, and then you realize, okay, there's what I can achieve right now and there's what maybe I cannot. And so I had to pivot very quickly. And the program was very well structured to help you find the right co-founder, the right idea in terms of where industries are headed, where innovation is headed. So you're building something that's relevant not just for today but also for the future. So the first 2-3 weeks was quite intense, as you could tell. And I was lucky to find a co-founder, and then we started working through different ideas, 3 ideas at a time: the pet industry, the education space, and something around co-working and sprints and design sprints for small teams. But after a few iterations and a few meetings, we pivoted into EdTech, which has always been my passion area. And one of my previous experiences whilst I was working in Dubai was heading and managing a fashion institution, a school. So I developed that passion and interest for the education space. So EdTech comes naturally to me. And we worked on a few ideas and then pivoted to pursuing an EdTech idea, which we then worked on, pitched a couple of times to Antler. Unfortunately, Antler passed on the idea to invest in Sprinted, which was the startup we then came up with, the idea I came up with my co-founder. So the program ended, and we started looking for other opportunities to raise funding to pursue the idea and execute a pilot. And luckily, we got another VC who made a very interesting investment or offer, which as we speak, we're still just working through the details of the contract and
Mhm.
about to close that round of investment. Yeah, so
Oh, okay.
the program has been very helpful to help meet the right co-founders, build a huge network of
Yeah.
professionals, and test the entrepreneurial world and the VC space and how funding is done and what they look out for, and then pitching every week till today. So
Yeah.
that's been the experience so far.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I agree. It was a really good experience, just networking, meeting
is.
lots of like-minded people,
Yeah,
but from
yeah.
such diverse backgrounds, like people from all over the world.
All over the world, diverse industry
Exactly,
background, diverse market background, nationalities. So it's just a mix of like-minded individuals, but with a very diverse set of skills, which is invaluable. Right?
Very unique experience.
It is. It is unique.
You have to really try it to really understand what we're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, unique, but it was also fun. It was a fun experience. Yeah. And so, could you tell the viewers a little bit about what Sprinted does?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Sprinted is an HR tech solution.
Mm-hmm.
We're re-engineering or sort of building a progressive way to help young teams and young companies, especially scale-ups, to be able to provide learning and development for their teams. So our solution is tailored to any organization that is future focused, especially organizations or companies or startup scale-ups that employ Gen Zs and younger millennials. This set of employees want a different way to learn and grow. They want a different way to evaluate performance on the job. And so we're building a platform agnostic L&D solution for modern teams that helps them to upskill and grow and learn whatever it is they want to learn based on their learning profile. And so that's what we're building. It's we call it the Netflix for learning, because we pull content from multiple sources: Udacity, Udemy, Coursera, Masterclass, all your favorite learning sources, both offline and online. And we aggregate all of this on one platform. And for companies, because it's a B2B solution, HR then has the opportunity to be able to create budgets or set budgets for each employee and each team. And the users, which is the employees in this case, can then log in, have access to the budget, have access to a ton of courses that is personalized to their learning goals and learning profile, and then they can easily learn on the go, while HR has that visibility to see what you're learning, how you're spending, what you're purchasing or subscribing to, and can either top up your budget when necessary or be able to even recommend more content for you to be able to help upskill depending on your career path.
Okay, yeah, thank you for sharing. And so obviously it's a great idea. And so in say 1 year's time, where do you see like your goals being? Is it to get investments, build a product, get users, or all of the above, really?
Yeah, pretty much all of the above, because fundraising is sort of ongoing. But right now, our focus is getting the product to the hands of the users. So first of all, building the product, and that's what the funding we just sort of been offered would help us to achieve, which is execute a successful pilot. Once we're able to build the MVP and execute the pilot, and then it's about getting, validating that product market fit, and then taking the product to market, and then getting into marketing and, talking to more users, more companies to get on board. So that's how our 1 year looks like. So the first 6 months we want to build, and then the next 3 months after that, we want to test and run a successful pilot, hopefully. And after the pilot, we go to market with our product.
Interesting, yeah. And so if you do get the investment, would you be working with Marina or another team, or
So for now, it's still Marina and I.
Sure.
With sort of two co-founders. We're obviously looking to get in more help in terms of technical support, full stack developer, who can either come in as a CTO, or we can just outsource the development. Because we know CTOs are hard to find these days, and they're quite expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we need to add some team members to help us
Mhm.
develop the tool.
Mm-hmm.
Marina is a data scientist, a great
Mhm.
one at that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a business developer and an innovator, so I don't have that technical capability to develop the tool. Marina is a data scientist and can design the infrastructure, the architecture, and all the insights that we need and algorithms, but then we need somebody to actually build it. And that's why we need to expand the team to have a third, either a third co-founder or just have someone who is a junior developer who can come in and get the support of Marina and I in terms of guidance and directions, and then they can build. Obviously, we can have some option pool or equity for that individual as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool beans. And so, what would you say have been like the biggest challenges so far? Going to start like everything, or like getting investment, or decision making. Yeah, could be anything. Yeah, just for people that are like thinking about doing a startup. Yeah.
I think startup in general is quite. It is a challenge. It's a tough journey.
Yeah, it's a tough journey,
because you're dealing with issues from everything, from finance to operations, to idea, innovation, to technology, go to market, business development. You need to find the clients. You need to do your interviews and research and speak to a zillion potential users or customers. So you get to do a bit of everything. It helps if you have the passion for that particular industry or for that particular problem you're trying to solve, because then you've got that energy and the zeal to wake up every morning and go at it, because every day the startup world throws you a different challenge, and the fact that you're not the only person working on that idea, there's always competition, so you also have to try and get to the market either first, or try and grow your market share to a significant value where you have control, at least in that market space, and so that requires a lot of skills set, a lot of dedication to building, a lot of listening, because sometimes founders are so engrossed in just building, which is great because we're builders, but also we need to develop the ability to listen to the market, to the industry, to the potential users and what they're saying. And then we keep pivoting and iterating and testing, and then pivoting and iterating, testing. You keep doing that measure, build, measure, learn metrics. Pretty much every week, you're working on something new. So unless you're really passionate and have some sort of understanding of the space and the market, not some sort, a deep understanding of the problem area and the solution that you're trying to build, then it's going to be really tough for an individual to succeed as an entrepreneur, because you're constantly solving problems at every single phase of the startup, from the idea phase to the pilot phase to the innovation phase to the launch and to the growth. There are multiple challenges that you have to deal with along the way, and so that requires you wearing multiple hats at every point in time to be able to solve problems. And of course you have to be you need to work well with people. You're going to have co-founders or teams or investors that you need to manage that relationship. Early users, you need to listen and manage the relationship with them. So there is a lot of challenges there. But it takes a determined heart, a passionate soul, and a ton of information and knowledge about the space that you're working in to succeed as an entrepreneur.
Okay. Thanks for sharing. Yeah. There's something quite unique about startups. So like, you're essentially doing something new that potentially mankind has not done before.
Yeah.
So you're always doing something or deciding upon something that no one has ever thought of before, and you have to make a decision.
Yeah.
There's no textbook saying you can choose choice A or choice B, but you have an infinite amount of choices. You can decide upon what you think is the best next step, rather than looking at a textbook and saying, oh, this is the answer for it. So it's quite a challenging process in terms of thinking about the next step.
It is very challenging, and like you rightly said, you know, a lot of the time startups and founders are always working on ideas that do not currently exist or exist, but they want to disrupt the way it is done. Which is also a new thing. So there is that constant push and knack. That's why innovators are, you know, you could either fail woefully, like really badly, because you're attempting to do something nobody else has done. So your chances of failure is almost 100%. Or you could get it right, and then your success is going to be huge, because then you're either the first in that space, so early movers advantage. You get to keep a huge chunk of market share because you're the first to get into it, to take that risk. But it's got to be calculated risks, and that's what entrepreneurs take every single time. And like you said, if you're working on an idea, there's no textbook to say this is how you have to do it. So you have to create the process to getting it done, and then building it yourself. And the chances of again failing is very high. But then if you succeed, you can look at all the businesses, all the startups that are successful today, the Amazons, the Apples, and Google, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of these apps or tools or technology companies, you know, started as, you know, something nobody has used before, TikTok, whatever. And they're very successful today because they kept going, they kept listening, they kept pivoting, they kept iterating. And then finally, with, you know, the right mix of talent, people, process, they were able to build something that today you have billions of users around the world, and they're one of the most valuable companies you see out there. So it does pay in the end.
Definitely, And so, in terms of other leaders in the business, or CEOs or co-founders, where do you draw any inspiration from those type of companies or leaders? Maybe you could speak to that, or
Absolutely. I've got a lot.
Okay.
In terms of companies, Apple is always my number one. I've got a few other companies that I really love. Airbnb, I love the business model. I love how they started. The founders themselves, you know, the passion and the struggles they went through in the beginning to knock on doors and, you know, make it work. Why I personally love Apple is the approach to innovation, and they came with this design thinking approach. They didn't reinvent the wheel. They didn't invent computers. They didn't invent, you know, music or any of the things that we use today. Or mobile phones was not invented by Apple. But what they've simply done is look into that space and really try to understand the user, and then create a product that the user will fall in love with and almost die for. And that's why Apple is one of the most successful businesses today and the most valuable businesses today. So I draw a lot of inspiration from the company, the mission, the philosophy of the organization, the leaders, the founders. Steve, obviously, God bless his soul, but the way he challenged the industry, and the way he was so obsessed with the user and obsessed with the problem, and then able to create a product that people will queue up for days to spend their money to buy that product. It's almost like a cult following today. And that's just one of them. There are many companies out there that are doing great stuff, and we learn every day from their successes. And even newer startups, if you look at the fintech space, you look at Wise, you look at Revolut, if you go into Agritech, you look at EdTech as well, Go One, Go Students, and there's a lot of them that are changing the way business is done, and are reinventing the wheel and giving users opportunity to experience a great service, and that's what entrepreneurship is about.
Definitely. There's definitely sense out of Apple, like Steve was obsessive design, just making things perfect.
Yeah.
I read his biography as like rounding the corners of the computer, making sure there's a
Right,
perfect
right,
radius on
right.
there.
And that comes out of, just being obsessed with the user. You
Yeah.
really need to get close and understand what does the user really want
Yeah.
and how do they want it.
Exactly, yeah.
And then you're able to build a solution
Uh-huh.
or a product
Uh-huh.
that they'd be like, wow, where have you been all my life?
Exactly,
Right.
yeah.
Once you hit that wow moment as a business, as a startup, as a founder,
Yeah.
then you know you're onto something.
Yeah. I think one of the values or ways they assess a product is would they be proud of sharing this product with their family, immediate family and friends? If not, then perhaps they need to improve the product list. So it's kind of a nice take on how to build a product. Like, would you give it to your
the mom test, isn't it?
Yeah,
Right?
would you give it to your mum or dad to do? Yeah, exactly.
If your mom loves the product
Exactly,
and
yeah.
also falls in love with it, then you know, okay, if you pass the mom test,
Yeah.
you're halfway there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Easy to use, nice to look at.
Yeah.
Product. Yeah.
Yeah. Who would have thought that you could have a mobile phone with no button?
No buttons. Yeah.
Right.
It's-
Because then it was BlackBerry and Nokia
Yeah.
that were
No.
kings,
Yeah.
and then all of them had all the touchpads, and BlackBerry refused to change because
Yeah,
touchpad.
yeah.
But today they're out of business
Yeah, exactly.
because you don't pivot,
Exactly,
and that's
yeah.
what entrepreneurs and founders and companies have got to understand, that the world is rapidly changing. With every new decade or generation, there's a shift in mentality. There's a shift in the needs and the wants of humans. And we've got to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
I'm in the EdTech space right now. We're building a product for the younger millennials and Gen Zs because there's a different way they want to learn. They don't like borders. And so even at the workplace, they don't like borders. No restriction. They want freedom to learn, freedom to work. You heard about quiet quitting? It's stemming from who? Gen Zs.
Yeah.
They want to do the bare minimum. Why
Yeah.
should I give extra?
Sure.
And as an organization, as a startup, as a founder, you've got to pay attention to that because it's a shift in mindset, in mentality, and that's going to grow. It's only going to grow. How do you fit into that shift?
Yeah.
How do you fit into the mind of the consumer or of the user? So if we understand the psychology of the user, we're able to design products better, and we're able to serve the user better because we know what they want and how they want it and when they want it and how much they want to even pay for it, right? So all of those research we keep doing, and that's why businesses keep evolving and pivoting. Because you're paying attention to the user.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And that's an interesting topic as well, like the future of tech. So you touched on the transition from Nokia Blackberries to iPhone.
Yeah.
So do you have an idea where the future of tech is going, whether that be AR, VR, or like Neuralink, or could be something completely different.
Could be something new that we've not even heard of.
Yeah. So what's your take on this? Yeah, the next 10, 20 years, where do you think it's going to go? Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm the person to tell you about the future of tech because I'm also a learner. I'm a student myself. I'm a learner. But
what do you like the idea of anyway? Like
so
in the future,
personally, right now, I'm sort of interested in a few tech areas, which I think in the future will have a massive impact. Number one for me is the metaverse.
Sure, yeah.
We're social humans, right? I mean, humans rather are social. And if you look at the big tools we use today, everybody, Instagram has how many billion users? Or WhatsApp rather, I think over about a billion or so users. Facebook about a billion. That's
it's
15-20% of the world
Yeah.
is using these tools, right? Because as humans we relate, we communicate. We were chatting this morning on WhatsApp, right? And then I'm gonna watch this interview on YouTube, right? And then so we're all like doing this. So I think the future of social is going to be a hybrid of the physical and the digital world somehow interacting and mingling and then creating an experience that is wholesome. So I love the metaverse for that. I think in the future as humans, one thing that's going to drive also some solutions in the future and technology is the fact that human wants are insatiable. You can never satisfy the desires of human.
Yeah.
And as human, we're always longing to be more, to do more, to advance and to push ourselves.
Yeah.
And one technology, one area I see us evolving into is the ability to be in multiple places at the same time. Today, it's not possible. You're here now, you can only be here.
Yeah.
Mind, body, and soul.
Yeah.
But in the future, it will be interesting to see, and I think it's possible that you can be in multiple places at the same time, which means we have to clone you.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And with technology, with AI and advancement in technology, I think that's possible because it's all about understanding who is Alex or Israel, your personality, taste, likes, all of those things that make Alex, Alex, and Israel, Israel.
Yeah.
And we can duplicate that. Once we know it, through technology, we can then duplicate that in multiple places such that you can appear digitally and be in a meeting somewhere else while you're talking to me right now. And that meeting is going to go on successfully because the Alex there is the same Alex here because AI understands you and is able to communicate and have a conversation. Today we talk with Siri. Right? And Siri is just computer program. Right? And there's no question you ask Siri that Siri does not answer, pretty much, right? And it's still growing and improving. So imagine your own Siri that understands you and is able to answer questions whenever they ask. Say, hey, what are you doing today? Because he knows your schedule, he knows your calendar. And so your avatar can respond and talk. And so you can be in multiple places at the same time. So that's an interesting technology I really want to see happen in my lifetime. That gives us the ability, and again, the metaverse is going to play a huge role in that because then your digital twin or triplet can then have meetings on your behalf, can do multiple things at the same time. So you can be in Tokyo, Japan, digitally, and still be able to have multiple meetings at the same time and have amazing outcome from it. So that's the way I see the future of socializing and interacting and work as well in general. So for me, technology is only going to get better and better and better.
Yeah. It's fascinating topic. Talk about especially the future, but that's an interesting concept with the cloning because I think there's actually technologies out there that take your data from social media. You can kind of respond to it. So essentially, if a loved one has passed away or friends and family, you can maybe communicate with them beyond the grave, essentially, because they have their data, and you're able to communicate with them. So that's interesting, and also like the bridging between reality and also digital as well. I think we're already seeing that with particularly augmented reality stuff with games like Pokemon Go. I think that was probably the first most popular one where you can just go out into the world, but you also see like Pikachu's popping up out of nowhere. So, but that can translate to real world, other applications. So maybe you want to go on a run with your friends, like who lives other side of the world, but you can run alongside them. With a smart glass.
Meta or Facebook. Already working on that. They acquired or invested in Ray-Ban.
Ray-Ban.
There's a relationship there, and they're already looking into that. How you can create glasses and you put it on and you have a mixed reality. Layered. The virtual is layered on the physical. And you have a mixed reality.
Really interesting.
And it's all hands-free. And it understands you, and you can use voice recognition to be able to make requests and have it done. So there's a lot of ways we can use technology to enhance our experiences. You want to go on a run, but you also have a meeting. And you don't want to miss both. So you can go on a run physically and have a digital meeting, and your digital twin is having the meeting. And nobody knows that you're not in that meeting physically because it's Alex's face, it's everything.
The real you doesn't have to work.
It doesn't have to work.
Like chill.
You just make sure you now become like a computer. You just feed the data in
Yeah.
and let the data and let the AI do its job. And it's just about making sure we manage, how that works. And
that's a very interesting concept, like having complete clone, so you don't have to work. Your clone does it all for you, and then you're just like chilling.
Today we have the factory. The production industry, auto industry, where we used to have hundreds of people on the production line, right, mixing and doing bolts. And today you have no one on the floor. Right? It's all automated. You have robots doing everything. Right. So the technology is advancing to the point where we can have digital twins and clones, and you can duplicate yourself and be in multiple places, like the omnipresence. And that's something that's going to happen in the future. That I'm sure about. I believe it's going to happen because I see the trends in tech, and it's only a matter of time for us to get there.
Interesting. So that's a very interesting future. So a future, probably very far off, but like essentially where machines, robots kind of do everything for us. They do farming, they sort out food. So if all our basic needs are met, we get universal basic income. The robots do everything. So maybe it would make humanity flourish. So we're able to do more creative pursuits rather than just doing Excel in the office.
Exactly.
So which is something a robot could do.
Exactly.
It's very
well, that'll be
interesting.
interesting. To see. And that's one thing I love about entrepreneurship, because you keep trying to reinvent or change, the way things are today for the better. You're trying to improve our lives experiences. You're trying to improve the workplace. You're trying to improve EdTech. You're trying to improve learning and development, which is the space I'm at. And so entrepreneurs are always looking for a better way to do something to make it easier for the users. And that's why you have productivity tools to help you become productive, to organize your day. You have health tech tools where you can check, and you put on a wristwatch and it gives you all the data about your health, physical health. You have the mental health space, now blowing, and growing massively, because all of a sudden Corona made us realize that we need to pay attention to our mental health and we need to look after ourselves. And now there's all of those technology to help you gauge, your mental well-being. Right, and you can couple that with therapists, or the tech can even connect you to a therapist when they know that, hey, emotionally you're down, you're drained. Okay, here's a list of therapists in your area that you could talk to. So technology and founders are helping the world to become a better place, to give us a life that makes meaning and give us services that improve our everyday experiences of life. So it is interesting.
Fascinating topic. And so, just touching on that, so you're a man with many different interests in lots of different industries. So, education, obviously, but fashion, agriculture. Could you speak a little bit about that?
Absolutely.
I think it's fascinating.
So I've been in the Agritech, or agriculture space for the last 9 years. I co-founded a startup with my wife in Nigeria, where we're supporting smallholder farmers. Obviously, we started as just an agri-business where we just distribute food. But that, again, as entrepreneurs, you keep pivoting and looking for better ways to serve your customers. And then we realized that the smallholder farmers are, 70% of the world food is provided and is cultivated by smallholder farmers. But these guys don't earn nothing. Like, they're really poor, especially in Africa. And then we thought, how can we help them? Some of them have just 1 meal a day. And there's over 30 million of them in Nigeria alone. And then we thought, how can we be of help? And we started Grow It, which is an Agritech startup that provides insight to smallholder farmers, from when they have to plant till when they harvest, and even how to sell and at what price to sell. All of the information they need, we provide for them. to help them optimize and improve the produce, the yield that they get at the end of the farming cycle.
Yeah.
And we've seen tremendous results. We did a pilot last year for 1 year, which ended June this year. And in that pilot, we onboarded 20,000 farmers, smallholder farmers.
Wow.
We built an application through the help of one of our partners in India. And then we started onboarding them and enrolling them. We created job opportunities for younger entrepreneurs who act as agents, because in Africa, most of the farmers are really poor. A lot of them are uneducated, so they don't even know how to use the smartphone. They do have a mobile phone, but it's mostly GSM. And because we have a tech tool, we needed an intermediary between our tool and the farmer, so we employed 100 agents who then downloaded the app on the smart device that we provided, a smartphone, a tablet, and then they went out into the field and enrolled farmers onto the app. And then we started pushing information to the farmers. It's about time to plant if you're into crop X and crop Y. It's about time to apply chemicals if you're into crop X or crop Y. It's about time to harvest. Expect this amount of rainfall this week or this season. Just a little bit of useful information that just helps the farmer to do better.
Sure.
So right now we're still advancing that, and now the pilot was successful. We're looking to build the actual product. So on that end, we're also looking to raise a pre-seed. We're looking at about 1.5 million.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
pre-seed to be able to build the tech. And then bring in some partners from the financial institutions and insurance, bring in partners from agro inputs, bring in partners from the government who also provide support, and NGOs who provide support to smallholder farmers, especially in Africa. Bringing all the partners, creating a platform that helps farmers to improve their yield and livelihood. That's our goal. And we hope to be able to have about 1 million farmers by the end of 2024.
Oh, wow.
And that's our goal.
Wow.
So that's for agriculture.
Yeah.
But I'm also in the fashion space. I love to dress well. I love fashion. I'm a creative guy. I used to run my own agency, one of the startups I had in the past, which was a creative agency. So I've always been in the creative space, and I love branding, I love design. I have a strong eye for design and aesthetics, which also explains why I love Apple, because they're also a design thinking company. So I also currently work with a few creative companies and product design, one of which is a jewelry business or a jewelry brand, luxury jewelry based in Dubai. And I help with brand strategy and growth strategy for the business. And I have interest in quite a few industries, so I consider myself as a serial entrepreneur, because then I'm not really glued to one particular industry.
Sure.
I understand fashion very well. I understand agriculture. I love tech and innovation, emerging technology. EdTech is big on my mind because of my passion and interest in education and the role education plays in empowering individuals. So those are three areas that I'm really passionate about. Plus, I have a background, obviously, in oil and gas and energy, because I worked with ExxonMobil for 8.5 years as an electrical and maintenance engineer. So I bring all of that skill from project management and organization and maintenance into my startup space to help build a better solution or product.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. A man of many talents, I think. So obviously you do a lot of these businesses and different areas that you work in, but you're also a dad as well. So how do you juggle all these different responsibilities, areas of interest? How do you do it? How do you juggle it all?
I think that's my biggest job, actually, being a dad.
Yeah.
And the most fun part, because I've got 2 kids, 2 girls, right now 9 and 7, and I've got to balance life with them as well, and not treat them as a startup, but treat them as kids, and be there and play with them and spend time with them and create with them and help them with their homework and academics academics and life in general.
Mm.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
And it's not something, you can give up on. It's not like a startup where, okay, it's not working, let's, pivot and look for something else. No, it's a lifetime of responsibility. But I love it. I love my kids, I love my wife, because we sort of understand how to manage the family and support one another. My wife is also a massive entrepreneur, and so having two entrepreneurs in the house with two kids, you can imagine that we work very long hours, sometimes late into the night. She's busy, I'm busy, but what we've done is to be able to carve out time where we spend time with each other and spend time with the kids, because that's really, really important. And so it's a tough one to juggle family and entrepreneurship, especially when you're building a lot of things at the same time. It's demanding. So it is a tough job, but it's a rewarding one. It's a beautiful one. When you see them grow up, and they're just a bunch of joy to behold. Sometimes it's actually, they help to get the stress off us, because they come in and like, "Daddy, how you doing?" And then they just make you laugh and make you happy, and but it's a responsibility, and we're happy to have such a beautiful responsibility.
Yeah, that's great. It's great to hear that. Yeah, I think obviously having like family and friends is really important when you're having such like different areas that sometimes quite stressful. So it's good to have that sort of grounding or base foundation where you can just go home, just relax and just have a laugh, really.
Well, it's even different now, because now home is where work is.
Oh,
right?
okay, work from home.
You're working from home. Like I work full time, 100% from home.
Yeah.
And then I travel every quarter to Dubai or Nigeria to manage a few things. But it's even tougher because you're working from home. You're home. It's not like office where if it's 9 to 5, okay.
Sure.
No matter how bad the day is, once it's 5 o'clock, I can switch off.
Yeah.
But here, if you're working 24/7 most times, it's really difficult to switch off because you're home and the work is with you. But it's great to also have family and friends around, and we can just really mentally knock off. Like my wife and I know Saturday, we don't do nothing. No work. Yeah. We booze, we drink, we go out, we have fun, we spend time with ourselves, with family. We do nothing on Saturdays. Sure. Because that's the only day we have. And then Sunday we're back to work, trying to just catch up and prep for the week. So it's a tough one, but it's also rewarding when you get an IPO or you exit, which is all of our goals eventually, is to get an IPO or build a really successful startup or business. It is rewarding because obviously what we want is financial stability, financial freedom, and that's something you can get from running your own business and running your own venture. And if it's very successful, you're very successful, and that's the goal. That's what we want to get to.
Sure. Makes sense, And so just touching on this, so I find it quite fascinating, but could you describe your perfect daily routine?
Yeah.
So let's start off with what time you go to bed, maybe put your kids to bed, what time, and then morning, what time you wake up, morning rituals, coffee, etc. I'd love to hear what you do. What's your routine?
Okay, so I'm really terrible right now. Because these days has been really crazy. I get up every day at 7 a.m.
Okay.
Which is quite late, but because I also go to bed very late.
Yeah.
So I get up at 7.
Yeah.
And when it's school days, like weekdays, and when school's in session for the kids, I prep them for school. My wife helps with sorting out the breakfast and the lunch, and then I just prep them, get them into the bathroom, get them to dress up and all of that, and then I take them to school every day. We cycle, which is fun because right now school is 10 minutes away. So that's like my morning exercise, and I do it deliberately. We must cycle. So that's the point I get to put in some work, physical work, before my busy day starts.
Sure.
So I drop them off at school, 8:20. I get back home at 8:30. So first 1.5 hours I spend with family, with the kid. Good morning, lunch, breakfast, prep stuff. Drop them in school, come back 8:30, I'm home. And that's when my day starts. I grab my coffee, I go into my office, and then my first meeting usually starts from 8:30 or 9 a.m.
Yeah.
And then do some meetings, and then get into all the emails and works, and if it's building pitch decks, and you get into all of that. So, and because I'm also sort of involved in a couple of things at the same time, so I have days where Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, sprinted, for example. Mondays is my days for all of the sort of what's the word, freelance activities that I do, for work that I do for other companies and other startups, which is where most of my income comes from right now. So I dedicate Monday to all of that, and then Tuesdays, Wednesday, Thursdays, I focus on other things that I need to build, part of our businesses. So, but a typical day is I start working from 8:30. I take a break from 4 o'clock, which is when the kids are sort of home, and then I bond with the kids, prep for dinners and all that till somewhere around 7:30, and 8 o'clock they're in bed. So from 8, and then I'm free again. I pick up my laptop, and then work until 12 midnight, which is when I knock off, and then I go to bed. Sometimes it could be around 1 a.m., but I make sure every day I get 6 hours of sleep. That I do not compromise on, because if I don't, my day is messed up. So I make sure I get minimum, maximum 6 hours of sleep every day. Some days I'm lucky I get 7 hours, because I prioritize sleep. Because I feel it's very important. If I get a good night rest, I can power through the day. So that's the way I sort of balance my day. And then eating healthy, a lot of veggies, salad, drink water, a lot of it. That's pretty much how I go for the day for now.
Okay.
I'm trying to get more back into fitness and training, and at least try and do some workouts in the evenings before I get onto my desk again at 8 o'clock. So that's something I'm working on at the moment.
Okay, fascinating. I always love hearing about people's routines. I find it interesting. But do you have any your own personal hacks in terms of focus and concentration, whether that be listening to music, coffee, quiet space? How do you do it best?
I think it also depends on where I'm at and what I'm working on. But usually I start my day with coffee. It gives me that kick, because I don't do breakfast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't.
Interesting. Why
I
not?
only do. I just think it's a habit that I picked up while I was in Dubai. Because I was really busy, so I just get up, get into the bathroom, shower, I just go straight to the office. And because my role, I was responsible for a lot of people, and the operation depended on me, and I was the head of the operations, head of school, head of strategy, and everything. So I worked crazy hours, and I never got time to do breakfast until 2 p.m., sometimes until 4. So my first meal of the day was from 4. So that just became an habit. So even now, I cannot have breakfast, even if I want to, because my system just doesn't accept it. So what I do is coffee in the morning, 8:30. Around 11, I take another cup of coffee. That powers me until around 1 p.m., 2 p.m. Then I do lunch. But in terms of, back to your question, which is what helps, again, is the coffee in the morning. I love music. So I love that background noise, cafe kind of. So I can walk from a cafe, I don't mind, even if there's 1 million people in there, I can still maintain my concentration, because I love that background chatter and sound. So I try to mimic that in my office, and I have that background music that just beats, so I don't have to focus on any sort of words or lyrics, but I just hear the beats, and then I walk through. When I have meetings, I shut it down, and then when the meeting is over, put it back up just to get through the day. And then sometimes I just want quiet.
Mm.
If I really need to maybe concentrate, maybe I'm doing some heavy lifting, some numbers or Excel, and I just really want maximum concentration, then I just go quiet. Then how do I cool off? Sports. I love sports. I love watching sport, especially football. I'm a big fan of Chelsea Football Club, so whenever Chelsea is playing, I'm watching anytime. That's how I just sort of relax. And then hanging out with friends and family, weekends, vacations, swimming. I live right next to the lake, so sometimes I just take my mat, I go there with my laptop, and I just walk from there. You have the cool breeze, you have the sound of the water and the waves. That just gives me the perfect environment to do some brainstorming and walk alone. So there's multiple ways I could relax. And,
Interesting. Yeah. There's something about background noise is quite interesting. I think when I was a child, I used to do my homework like literally right in front of the TV. Like, and then my mum and aunt would be like thinking, "Can you concentrate?
Do you do that?
You're right in front of the TV." But like, I was like zoning in, like doing my times tables, like there's all this like crazy TV stuff going on. But like, there's something about the background noise. I don't know what it is, but maybe some research into that.
Yeah, I love music, and I think that's also helps me a lot to just work. So I just put in the back. So anywhere I go, my previous job and work, they all know. Once I'm in, there's music. If it's too quiet, I'm out. Like I just go to a cafe and walk from there. So I really love that background noise, unless if it's maybe we're having a serious meeting or I just need some 1 hour of pure quiet. Then I just need emptiness, like pure quietness. I could go to my room and just shut the door, and then my kids know, okay, once the door is closed, you don't go in because he's trying to concentrate. But I always leave my door open. I want to hear, people walking by and banging doors and just hear things happening. But I still maintain my, focus and I'm able to do my job.
Sure. Interesting. So we touched on a bit of football.
Me and
you are quite big football fans. So,
we are.
So let's ask an interesting question. So who do you think is possibly the greatest player of all time?
That's a very tough question, and it's been a debate for a long time between Ronaldo and Messi.
It's obviously Pele, Maradona.
You have Pele, but I didn't watch those guys.
Yeah,
so
I didn't grow up there. I just watched clips.
I just watched clips, right?
Handball.
Exactly. So I really cannot put them on my list of greatest of all time. But for those that I watch, especially in football, it's obviously between Messi and Ronaldo. I always lean towards Messi for one reason: his character. He's a quiet guy. He's a team player, and he's very, his charisma, the way he carries himself. There's a lot of poise and respect. Not just for himself, but for the people around him, for his opponents as well. And that's some rare skill. So beyond the fact that he's gifted and talented footballer, but he just has this manner of relating, with people, which Ronaldo sadly doesn't have. But what Ronaldo does have that I also love is work. He puts in work, and he proves, and it makes you understand that if you work hard, you can succeed. And he spent hours and hours after training, just training alone and working and building skill. And he's one of the greatest in the world, if not, some people would argue he's the greatest of all time. So for me, it's Messi, just for the fact that obviously in terms of talent, he's got it. The way he scores is so effortless. But also I learned a lot of perseverance from him. I learned about humility from him. I learned about team spirit and team play. And I think as a founder and as, in the startup world, you've got to learn to be a team player, to build a successful company. You've got to understand how to motivate people, how to listen and hear and give audience to your team members, and also play to the strengths of your team. I think that's really important. So Messi for me any day, anytime. But I'm a huge fan of Ronaldo. I watch him, I follow him, I like him, I love him.
Yeah.
But I'll pick Messi any day.
Yeah. Great answer, by the way. There's something quite special about being someone so talented, but also having the control and humility to just not want the spotlight or want the stardom, despite being so skilled and talented. Which you might see in other people and characters, which is it's kind of almost a very strong like inner confidence with Messi, that he doesn't need the attention. He just goes about his business in his own way without really wanting the spotlight. He just does the best for his team. So
absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with the spotlight and wanting spotlight like Ronaldo. But what Messi showed us or keeps showing us is, you know, his focus is just having fun and playing. And that's all he wants. He just wants to play football and then go home and spend time with his family. And that's what he does so well. He's a great dad. He's a great husband, I believe. And he's a great team player. And he's a great footballer as well. So he's got pretty much a balanced life, I'd say, which a lot of entrepreneurs can learn from. And we entrepreneurs can benefit from his story. It's a very inspiring story. Pretty much,
Okay, so let's touch on a bit about your more early days. So you obviously come from a really big family.
Yes.
So I'd love to hear more about what it was like growing up. Like you're from
Nigeria,
crazy. Big family.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'd love to hear about this. Yeah.
So I'm Nigerian, and my father was a military officer, was a soldier in the army, in the Nigerian army, and he's got a large family. He's got 7 kids. And I'm the youngest of all. And what that means is you get to do all the chores.
Okay.
Hey, Israel, get me that. Israel, pick me that. Israel, get that. Israel, do that. Israel, that. Hey, turn on the TV. Hey, turn it off the TV. So I get to do everything. Oh, bring my shoes. Oh, take it back. And so it was tough growing up, but I had all the love as well. So because I was the youngest, I get all the treats. I get all the birthdays. I get all the clothes. I get all the toys. So that was fun. And my mom was a businesswoman. She never worked. She was not like highly educated. So she's always, been in business, and she had her own businesses. So I grew up as a child supporting her and helping her. And as the youngest, I was always with her. So I go to school, come back from school, and then I go to my mom's shop. And my mom was an entrepreneur as well, so she did everything. She sold fruits when it's fruit season. She sold clothes when it's not fruit season. She used to have a restaurant, and then I remember we used to have like a pub. I also remember we had a store in the markets in Nigeria. We had like a big market, and then you have stores. You go in and pick stuff. It's not like these days you shop everything online and you have big shopping malls. In Nigeria, it's just like a huge market. So I used to go in there and help my mom with sales. So my entrepreneurial journey actually started when I was like 5-year-old, because I was selling. I would go to school, come back until I graduated secondary school. I was always with my mom, and whatever she was doing as an entrepreneur, whatever she was selling, I was always there. I remember we used to fry some local Nigerian food, like street food, on the street. And we used to do all that, and I would be the one selling while she was frying, and then taking money and giving change. So I'd always known how to sell and how to market, because you need to sell and outsell your competitor. So I knew all the gimmicks and how to make sure that your customers always come back. So all of that skill helped in growing up. And that's how when I got into university, it was just in me to do something. So I started selling DVDs, and that's where my entrepreneurial spirit or adventure started. I was selling DVDs and CDs. Then it was just, we didn't have all this digital stuff. It was back in 2003, right, when I was in university. And I used to sell DVDs, and then I bought over a friend's business when he was leaving the country. He used to have the largest collection of music in the city.
Oh wow.
So when he was leaving the country,
Yeah.
we had a deal. I had DVDs and softwares that I was selling. He had music. And then, it was very expensive in Nigeria to like just go buy a DVD from a release. So what we did was just download and copy from each other. And so he had the largest collection of music. I had the largest collection of software in the city we were living in. And when he was leaving, we had a deal, and I bought over everything he had. So now I had the largest collection of software and the largest collection of music in the entire city. And then people would come, and I would burn CDs for them. So if you want a full album of Jay-Z, I had it. All his albums, Jay-Z, Wyclef, everyone, Mary J. Blige, all the American musicians. Because then there was no Spotify or iTunes and all that you could just listen to music. You had to go buy CDs, and it was expensive. So it was piracy. Forgive me, but that was what I was doing while I was in school. And I made shitload of money.
Wow.
I was able to pay my school fees. I stopped getting money from home from when I was in my year 3. And I told my dad, don't worry, I've got myself covered.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, impressive.
And then I moved out of school. I moved into an apartment with a co-founder, with a friend of mine, my best friend, Coyote Adams, is in the UK. And we just blew this business. And then we started, from that we grew. In 1 year, we started selling laptops. So we'll go to the big city in Lagos, Nigeria, and buy laptops and come back to school, and we were selling brand new laptops, which were very expensive. So we made really good money while we were in school. And that's just because, the entrepreneurial spirit from when I was growing up in a large family and just hustling every day paid off. Because when I got into school, we were able to then take that experience and skill, and we're making real good money, my friend and I. And when we graduated, we just, went, of course, to the job market to get a job. I went into ExxonMobil, he went into Ericsson. But we kept on doing business, basically. So my upbringing was very fun. I grew up in the military barracks, which also makes you very tough. It wasn't in the richest of neighborhoods. The military barracks, especially in Nigeria, if you know anything about it, it's like you've got quite some characters in there, like notorious people, good people, but a lot of notorious, gangs and all of that. But my dad was able to shield me from all of that and gave me the best education I could ever have and that he could ever provide, which was the best thing my dad sort of did for all of us, gave us education. And I think that was the foundation. I had good education. I had good formal education, but also good education from my mom in terms of entrepreneurship. Combining those two, it's what brought me here today. So it's been really fun and memorable experiences, traveling a lot across Nigeria. And because my dad was a military man, you get transferred and posted to different cities. And so we got to move around a lot across Nigeria. So I understand all the 3 languages, the 3 official languages of Nigeria, because we kept moving. Because I'm from the West. I was born in the North, and then we moved to the West, and then I schooled in the South. And, so all of that mix and travel gave me a sort of a broader perspective and a wholesome mix of Nigerian entrepreneurial spirit. And if you meet any Nigerian anywhere, you know that Nigerians are entrepreneurial, period. Because the country just sort of shapes you for that. But yeah, upbringing is fun. And then I moved to Dubai. I lived there 5 years with my kids, and that was also fun. All the lifestyle in Dubai, Dubai, if you've been there, it's crazy, it's fun, it's extravagant. I love it. It's flashy, it's beautiful. It's also very entrepreneurial in its approach to everything. So as an entrepreneur living in Dubai, was just the perfect mix.
Yeah.
And then we chose, okay, now let's settle down
Okay. Yeah.
and enjoy Europe and
Yeah.
also explore Europe, and that's why we're here. So that's been my journey so far.
Okay, very interesting. Yeah, maybe I'd love to hear more about Dubai. So,
Oh, yeah.
so 5 years there. So obviously, there's a
5
lot of parties
years.
there, but maybe we could flesh out the
Lots
detail.
of parties, lots of
Yeah,
fun,
yeah,
but also lots of business and opportunities.
Sure,
I worked for 3 companies whilst I was in Dubai. The first was a creative branding agency,
Yeah.
which was, at that time, it was top 3 branding firms in the world called the Brand Union, now part of the WPP group. That was a short stint, and then I got this job as an administrator in a school, which was a creative school, fashion school. I loved it, and then grew very quickly. Became the head of the operations, head of school. Did that for 3.5 years. So that's where I met a lot of people in the fashion space. I did a lot of fashion shows in London, Milan, Paris, Dubai, Mumbai, in India. Did a bit of travel Cairo as well in the north of Africa. So that was fun. And then after I left that, I worked with a training company where I was a partner with a friend of mine called Kais, and did that for a bit, and then got a job again with influencer marketing, the number 1 influencer marketing company in the world, which is Indahash in Dubai. They had offices around the world as well, so did that for about 6 months. But whilst doing all of that, my goal was basically to learn the corporate culture in a startup space, in a scale-up environment, and then be able to build a business, with all of that knowledge. So I did those jobs deliberately to just learn how a startup becomes a scale-up and how a scale-up becomes a successful company. And to learn all the inner workings of a scale-up and a startup, and especially in an international environment, so I could build something of my own, which is what we're doing right now.
Okay, thank you. So you have a lot of experience, a lot of interesting experiences. So do you have any advice for, say, maybe a young person watching this, viewing this, who's starting up in the world, or a teenager? Could be anything. How to live a more fulfilling life, career, more traveling, have more fun.
You've said it all.
Okay, all of the above.
All of the above.
All of the above, yeah.
But I love what you said about travel.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of traveling.
Yeah.
Because I think you asked me about my childhood, and travel was a big part of it. And that's thanks to the fact that my dad was in the military, and every time he got posted to a new cantonment or a new assignment, the whole family moved. And so we moved so much that moving became a part of me, and staying in a place for a long time became difficult because I now craved new experiences. I wanted to see what's happening in the other city, and that's what also brought us to Europe, because I wanted to explore Europe. I wanted to see how businesses and how startups and how the ecosystem here operates and works. I was in Dubai mainly because of that. I resigned my job in ExxonMobil. The next month I was in Dubai. I moved not having any contact or friend. I just wanted to explore. So I would say to younger, entrepreneurs or my younger self, keep traveling.
Yeah.
Don't be scared to take risks and explore the world. Don't be scared to start, even if it's gonna fail, but just get started, because it is not the failing, it is not the success, it is the process that makes you a better entrepreneur in the future or going forward. So that's my learnings so far. Traveling has been a big part of it. Friends and family. So I surround myself with really great people that motivate and challenge me every day. My wife challenges me every day. My kids challenge me every day. I've got friends that we check upon each other. Every time we talk, we're like, damn, I need to put in more work. So I've got friends that push me and say, hey, where are you at? What are you working on? Why are you not doing this? Why are you not raising? And then I've got friends, I'm like, hey, guy, what are you doing, man? You should be raising. That's you on the news, So you've got to push each other and encourage each other, because you cannot do this alone. You need an ecosystem around you, whether it's your employees or your co-founder or friend. So As a younger person coming in, I would say yes, surround yourself with great people. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. Keep trying and travel. Because the big thing about traveling for me is the best form of education. You can learn everything you want to learn about Africa on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
But unless you're in Africa and you step foot in Africa and you interact with the people and the streets and you get on the plane, you get on the car, you get on the road, you never get a full gist of Africa. So traveling is a big part of education, and I think personally it is the best form of education. So travel, explore the world. It gives you a holistic view. So when you build and you start managing teams, you know how to relate with them.
Yeah, thank you. Very good advice for anyone, for myself as well. So yeah, there's something unique about traveling. Like it's almost like you don't know what you don't know. So by going to these different countries, meeting all these different people, like you're taking in maybe subconsciously all these different cultures, ways of living life. There's something very special about that. And I think you kind of your brain processes it subconsciously, and you're more open-minded.
And you know, look, you watch Africa on the news, or you watch India. The pictures you see is slums and all of that. My first time in Mumbai, India, when I landed, I was expecting. And that's because of what you see on the news, right? To see, people in the slums and all. It's a beautiful city. Very clean. And I was like, wow, how come? The media tells you something different, right? So traveling is great. It helps you to get first-hand perspective, real experience of the field. And it shapes your mind and how you relate with people. It's important. It's important.
Definitely interesting, And there's another interesting question. So, if money was not an issue, so what do you think you would do in life? What would you work on, or maybe not work at all? Maybe just
just spend the money.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, what would you do if money was not an issue?
If money was not an issue, I think I would. But that's a really good question. I don't think I've ever really thought about it. But if I don't have to worry about like income, revenue, money, and all of that, I think I'll just do more of mentorship and coaching and teaching, and which I still do, and I keep doing it. Because I love transferring knowledge and transferring ideas and transferring information, especially to teenagers. I love that space, and I think the teenage years are the most sort of important years of a human's life, because that's when adulthood is beginning to form. And if we can impact those people, those teenage years, and just teach them about entrepreneurship, teach them about life, teach them about travel, teach them about anything. And really impact their lives physically, spiritually, mentally, socially, and just empower them at that level, I think we're going to have a great, beautiful society. So that's something I would eventually also spend the rest of my life doing, if and when I eventually retire from active work, whether in entrepreneurship or whatever it is I do. I want to go back to the classroom, or go back to coaching and mentorship, especially mentoring younger ones and just teaching them and all that. That's something I would do for free. Like, I don't need to be paid for it. I love doing it. I'm passionate about it. I love transferring knowledge. I'll do that any day for nothing.
Interesting. It's very, very noble pursuit as well. Passing on knowledge. I think that's a great way to spend one's time. Like, just passing on to the next generation what you've learned. Very interesting.
And that's why I love education and EdTech, because it's about knowledge and empowerment and transferring information. So I'm really passionate about EdTech, or ed in general, education in general, and just passing knowledge and transferring information, and making sure that those coming after you perform better than you, because you already exposed them to the challenges and the opportunities that they're going to walk into, and so they're better prepared to take on that challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. And so, see, we have to make a living. Obviously, go back to reality.
Absolutely.
So where do you see yourself in, say, 10 or 15 years' time? Would it be
10, 15 years, I want to have 10, 15 years, I want to have 2 unicorns.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a long time. So short term, maybe the next 5 years. So Sprinted, obviously, I want to see that succeed. I'm also very passionate about agriculture because of my work in that space and how I see it can impact farmers directly. I want to be able to raise and have a business that is churning, or okay, let's forget about the revenue, but I want to have a business that's impacting at least 10 million farmers annually. That's my goal, and that's our goal in Grow It as a company. We want to build a business or a tech company that is supporting minimum 10 million people, 10 million smallholder farmers by the end of 2026. That's our ambition. So that's what we're aiming at. So that's where I want to be in the next 5 years. Have 10 million farmers, smallholder farmers around Africa that we're impacting daily with the information that they need to be successful. For Sprinted, I want to be able to see Sprinted become the biggest edtech for scale-ups in Europe, where we provide L&D support to modern teams and support HR within scale-ups, because this is the most chaotic group of companies in the world, scale-ups, because they are so focused on growth, they've been funded, and so they just focused on hiring and expanding, and not really managing the learning experiences of the employees that they are onboarding. And that's why there's a huge turnover within scale-ups. People join, they don't like it, it's toxic, or no growth opportunities, they leave, so there's high turnover. And I really want to help them with a structured L&D platform that helps them to manage learning, automate that process, and keep growing, but not in a way where you don't focus and you don't give employees the right tool they need to learn and upskill and do the job and help the company to expand. So I want to see Sprinter become the biggest L&D startup in Europe for scale-ups, and that's my goal for the next 5 years. 10 years from now, obviously, I want to be able to exit those 2 companies because I'm a serial entrepreneur. I don't want to do one company for life. I'm not that kind of guy. I want to build a successful business and exit at a good time and let the business continue to fly and go build another one. And that's what gives me passion. I like building. I don't want to sit on the board for 10 years and do nothing. I want to keep building successful businesses. And that's it for me.
Okay, thank you for sharing. You heard it here, folks. Israel's going to make it.
No, we'll
10 years
make it.
time,
We'll make it. That's for sure.
So let's end on a final philosophical question. So what do you think is the potential meaning of life, or do you think there's no meaning at all, or you're still trying to search for that meaning yourself, or it could just be your family? What do you think?
I think life is meaningful.
Yeah.
I'm a faith-based individual. I'm a Christian, and I'm a passionate one as well. So I'm not a religious person. I'm a faithful or faith-based being. So I believe that that's God. I believe in faith, in healing, in grace, in favor, all those things that makes a Christian a Christian. So I believe in that. I believe in happiness. I believe in joy. I believe in taking care of yourself. I believe in relationships. I believe in the supernatural. I believe in miracles, and they do happen. Yeah, so my family, myself, are driven by the values of being prayerful,
Mm.
being faithful, being diligent,
Mhm.
hardworking, and also respect for one another. I value humans the way I value my neighbor, my friend, the way I value myself.
Mhm.
I don't place any value that is higher
Mhm.
uh, than the value I place on myself
Mhm.
to any other person.
Mhm.
I treat everyone I see with tremendous respect.
Mm.
I never sort of look down on anybody because
Mhm.
I think that's the worst thing any human
Mhm.
can do. And then I believe in mutual love and admiration and support.
Mhm.
I believe in helping the poor.
Mhm.
I believe in a lot of things, but I believe that good triumphs
Mm.
over evil.
Mhm.
I believe that this world can be a better place and will be a better place if we do what we have to do as humans and we relate with our neighbors and ourselves and people around us in the best way possible.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's it.
I think that's a good way to wrap it up. Living a peaceful and loving life. Yeah, it's good.
Loving life and living life to the fullest.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. Have fun.
Yeah.
Drinks.
Yeah. Drinks. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Have fun,
Live
yeah.
life. Dream big.
Yeah.
Extremely big. And why not? Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I think that's a great way to end the podcast.
Yeah.
So before we end, do you wanna? It's up to you, but you can mention your websites for your startups, like agriculture business or Sprinted or.
Yeah, so the Agritech for Middle
Social
Foods,
media,
it's
yeah.
Middle Foods right now,
Yeah.
but we're building Grow It. Middle Foods is Middle, MEADOW dash foods.com.
Mhm.
That exists and we're building. We're currently working in Nigeria. We're looking to expand across Africa,
Mhm.
and that's why we're launching Grow It, which will be focused on tech. So
Mhm.
there's no website for that yet, but you can learn a lot about Grow It on the Middle Foods website.
Mhm.
Sprinted is Sprinted,
Mhm.
Sprint, SPRINT, ed, .tech.
Mhm.
And that's also a work in progress. We're still at the idea state, so you'll find a lot about the idea and our value proposition on the website.
Mhm.
And that's it. That's
Yeah.
it.
All right. Thank you very much, man. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Paul.
Been a
Thank you
pleasure.
so much.
It was
Lovely
good
to
fun.
be here.
Really good fun, actually. Speaking to you.